Hey everybody, it is Elsa932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. We are here for the two-part finale of All's Fair. And I didn't see this coming. I did not see the ending coming. And that's why we do need that season 2. So let's get into it. Please make sure that you have liked, shared, and subscribed to the channel. Episode 8, we see that the detective who is, investigating the homicide of the man that attacked Niecy Nash's best character a while ago, a couple episodes ago, she's still on the hunt. Because she's saying, although he looks like he ended himself, he still shows signs of being harmed externally. So Emerald, that's Niecy Nash's character, says that, hey, she's just one of his victims. Maybe the detective needs to go look at the other victims, and that will give her who her assailant is. The criminal will appear. The detective does ask her, how do you feel knowing he was walking free after he attacked you? Now, Emerald was like, hey, this is kind of sounding like harassment. But Emerald was staring at her while Liberty is like, hey, we've been cooperating with you, check our alibis. And the detective said, yeah, she's checking it. And she's checking Emerald's triplet sons as well. And they do ask for Naomi Watts' cell phone information saying how, hey, it looks like you were kind of like in airplane mode, like you didn't want to be tracked the night this happened. Dina walks in and tells the detective, now Dina is Glenn Close's character, tells the detective, you don't have a case, that's why you're sniffing around here. And she will gladly sue the detective, and the entire department. Dina also tells the detective, don't come back here unless you bring a warrant and cuffs. Dina says after the detective leaves, like, I need to go to Fashion Week. This is just, this is just stress. And she's like, hey, let's forget about work. Let's just take the jet. And what are we doing if we can't use our private jet whenever we want? So she got them all front row, seats for all 4 shows. And Niecy Nash, while they are on the plane, she is getting a massage in the back. And she is yelling and screaming. And Liberty is like, wait a minute, is that a happy ending? Or does she need rescuing? So they talk about the rough few weeks each of them have had. They don't know how they survived. And they do ask Dina to be a named partner in the firm. Now she said, hey, I can help out. I can be a partner, but you need someone who is actually hungry. And Dina wants to scale back and travel and feel alive again since the loss of her husband. But she will be there for them. Kim K's character, Alora, says that she asked Milan, Tiana Taylor's character, to come back. They're all shocked. Because remember, Milan is pregnant by Alora's now ex-husband. But she was sleeping with the man while they were married. They're like, hey, if we aren't supporting women, what are we doing? What are we doing? Dina does suggest Carr. She suggests Carr because Carr was holding back during Alora's divorce. They also suggest Alberta Stone, the one who asked Carr to be her partner, the one who went up against them in the divorce, the African-American woman that was like chomping at the bit to get them. They say they will consider Carr though, and consider Alberta Stone. And I was like, yes, we get to see Alberta again. But no, y'all, we don't. Liberty does say that she will be out the door if Carr joined the firm. Now they attend the fashion show and Dina is talking to Liberty to get her to consider Carr. She tells about Carr's childhood and her abandonment, how we find out that Carr found her father when he unalived himself. And that must be very traumatic. And she says, hey, if she does damage, then the others can't do it to her, is how Carr's life motto has been. But Liberty agrees to take the meeting, but not to bring Carr on as a partner. Now, Carr and her lavender marriage ex-husband, y'all know that's her daughter's father. She said it was a lavender marriage back then, okay? They are watching movies together. They know line by line. They're going back and forth in Mommy Dearest, okay? And they're talking about how they are rich and fine, so they should be dating. She admits that Chase is her type. And he is surprised because Chase ain't that smart. But she said Chase looks like her teenage heartthrob. And he's like, who was that? Carr with a straight face says Jesus. She said she was attracted to Jesus in Sunday school. I said, y'all know that people who are religious conservatives are going to come at this show Oh my word. But she says she doesn't date clients. And he dares her to go and make Chase her F buddy. She's like, well, since you said that, I've got to. Now, Chase is visiting Alora in her office, and she tells him he can't just come to the office. He says, hey, I want to give us another try. Have you thought about it? She's like, yeah, and I don't think we should. And we need some distance and clarity. Chase declares that he loves her, and she says she needs time to remember herself without him. And he begrudgingly agrees. He thinks that some love just stays, even when you ask it to go. But you're still here, Chase. You need to go. Sorry. Carr does go to the gym to find Chase, and he's blowing off some steam after that conversation with Alora. She admits to missing him and their visits, since they were doing his divorce, and she offers to celebrate their victory with a date. She offered for him to sleep with her to celebrate, y'all, and I will have clips, shorts for that, and some of these are a little bit steamy, and I'm going to have to leave that in members only, okay? Some of those shorts are going to be members only. Now, he refuses her. He says, hey, I'm in the Smex Addicts Anonymous. And she says, hey, maybe you haven't found the right place to stick it. That's why you having these problems. But she offers some role play to him in her office with boss and secretary. She is the boss, though. And he's the secretary trying to keep his job. So he finds that she may be a mean boss, and she's like, hey, then report her to HR. They're having this witty banter, and I was like, ooh, Carr, you're trying to get to be partner. What are you doing? But next time we see them he is performing on her desk and asking, for a good review. They are loud and obnoxious in her office. The admin outside the door can hear them. So he feels bad after, okay? After this is done, he's sitting on the couch and he feels bad. And she said, hey, you feel bad because you haven't figured out why you're doing what you're doing. Why is this a compulsion for you? Now, y'all, I'm thinking that maybe Carr is what he needs or who he needs, because remember, she's dealing with her own trauma that she has gone through. She does show him her scars. I was writing this in a note and I paused it, and the next thing is she's showing the scars. And I said, yes, I practically know what they wrote. He has to find out his why. And some days she said even she's good and some days she's not, but she knows her why. And she doesn't tell guys that she sleep with the details of that why. So they do finally kiss when he's saying goodbye, because she didn't let him kiss her in the midst. Okay, and it was a deep kiss. And Chase says he likes that she does not judge him for his faults. Carr, you look like you're catching feelings, girl. Look like you're catching some feelings. Chase now goes back to see Alora, his ex-wife. That's Kim K's character. And he's giving back the Rolex that she gave him for their 1-year anniversary, offering for her to auction it so she can sponsor more scholarships for her foundation. The foundation she has named after her dad. So she asked about his meetings and what were the topics, and he couldn't remember the topic. So she goes off on him that he couldn't even go to the meetings. He couldn't keep it in his pants. All kinds of stuff she goes off on him. And he said, he slipped up and said, well, Carr thinks. And she's like, excuse me? He's like, oh, I didn't say Carr's name. She's like, you did. I heard you. Okay. He mentions that Carr doesn't judge him. And she will try things with him, and she's not frigid. Carr at least wants him to find out his why. And he says that all Alora wants to do is control him and control everything in her life. And good luck with finding a man that would allow you to do that. She says she wasn't trying to control him. She just cared. He's like, didn't feel like it. So he goes to Carr's office dressed like a firefighter. The next thing we see, y'all, he got the axe and everything. He goes there to rescue Carr in front of the flames. She says the flames are spreading. Okay, if it's that hot, then, you need a doctor, not a firefighter. They do a role play about first responders because guess what? Carr is dressed like a nurse. She says she's been trying to save lives at the expense of her own, and now she needs rescuing. Y'all, Chase asked for her to try something different. Okay? He tried to, try her emergency exit only. And she agrees. But while he is between and betwixt, he calls her Alora's name. I said, no, you didn't, Chase. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you did not. How are you going to call her by your ex-wife's name? So, she stops it. She's like, get up off of me. Get up off of me. And he said, I know, but we had a fight right before this. And she's like, hey, it's okay since his ex is on the brain. But she's not looking at him. She walks away from him and her back is to him. She's like, hey, it was just bumping skins. And she tells him it's time for him to go. He said, hey, I'll make it up to you. I'll bring dinner for you later. And she's like, okay. And he mentions her favorite spot. They have a cutesy moment. I'm like, are you going to forgive him, Car? Are you going to forgive him? Because I don't see the Car we know forgiving him. Car has a client. She hires a stylist to give her what Alora has. Now, next up, we see Milan walking through the office. And she sees the back of Alora and says, she is glad to be back to work. Thank you so much. This is a chance for her to turn her life around. And the person turns around and it's Car, dressed exactly like Alora that day, except for the outfit. It's still gray. It's still pearls. The hair, though, is Alora's. Car mentioned that if she was the boss, Milan will be eating rubble someplace else. I was like, daggone it. Y'all know I have these clips for y'all in the short section. Car presses and Milan admits that, hey, everybody wants to be Alora. That's why she slept with Chase. Car just goes on to say that Milan did it because she a tramp. I said, daggone it, Car. Really? The girl's trying to open up to you. Alora came out and they went at it, y'all. They went at it. The scene is at the 37-minute mark. I cannot put all of it in a short. I'll try to put pieces and pieces and pieces. But if you watch from the 37-minute mark of episode 8, you're going to see it. They go in. And Car is mirroring the mannerisms as well. So they talk about why the interview and how she's now sleeping with Chase. And ask why she dressed like Alora. And Alora says, hey, why would you do this with an interview? Why would you do this interview? Car, while she's in there with the other lady, say, hey, this interview is closure. Okay? She could say that she wants to spend time with her daughter, that the business is overwhelming, but it all took time for her to get over their initial rejection. She says because Dina joined them, she also wants him, and Dina was her mentor first. They say it's as a favor to Dina that she's even there interviewing. But they will allow her to join the mediation as an audition, and Car asks for someone to join as well. Because she's like, hey, I can't do this by myself if you want me to be a team player. Dina later walks in with the client. They're in a conference room. The husband is across the table with his representation, okay? And his lawyer mentions, oh, it's 5-1. Y'all must be sweating. But Dina does rub Car's shoulder when she walks over. And while the other ladies are doing the usual tag team of the opposing side was about like, yeah, y'all are full of crap and they're about to leave. Okay, this whole thing was a father who's also an assemblyman. And he's talking about some conspiracy theory stuff that the wife does not want her children exposed to. He's talking all kinds of stuff. She just doesn't want him talking around their children. And he's like, I'm going to talk whatever I want, however I want around my kids. So Car stops them and mentions evidence she has against the husband. Evidence that she will release all over the world. And he will not only lose his position, his political position, he won't be able to show his face anywhere in this world until he agrees to terms. Wow. That was the end of the scene, and we knew by the way the husband sat back in that chair, he had given up. Now, Car, we see next, is setting off the fire alarm in her house. She's cooking dinner for Chase. But she used cold cuts, y'all, for the stew. She doesn't know how to cook. Car does not know how to cook. Car, you better... Where's the maid? Where's the maid that you always have your daughter with? She couldn't cook. But when she pulls Chase closer, to snuggle up after they get the fire alarm done, he says no, he's not going to do that anymore. He's trying to follow the program. And he's like, hey, how about we watch a movie? She's like, what? You're a coward. You're a coward. And so when she calls him that, he leaves for his anonymous meeting. Carr had has a late night with the ex-husband. I guess he comes over. He says he's sorry things didn't work out with Chase. She said, hey, it wasn't supposed to work out with him. He was a means to an end. And being with him will not get her the job. So he asked, why do you want this partnership so much? She said, the truth is, it's destiny. I told them some crap, but it's destiny. She's going to go in and infiltrate and destroy it from within. Destroy them one at a time. He said he hopes she will consider, and she's like, I won't. That's the end of episode 8. We're going straight into episode 9. Carr has, an office visit with her therapist. She's laying on the couch. The therapist is sitting there taking notes, and she thinks they are playing with her with the promise of this partnership. But she say, you know what? While they're dangling this in front of her, she gonna bite back. She admits to getting worse and worse because they hurt her in the deepest way, and this hurt won't go away. She has a perpetual anger for them every day. The therapist says, hey, it's as a woman, another woman hurting you, it's like dismantling her support system. So that's why it hurts her more. Carr throws the therapist out, y'all, when the therapist suggests she needs some medication to calm her down. She's like, oh no, I don't need to be calm. I need to breathe fire. But Carr does go visit with Liberty. Liberty does not want to see her at all. Y'all know how Liberty feels about Carr. This is Naomi Watts' character, the one from England. Carr knows that, hey, that Liberty will vote against her. And she's like, hey, she likes the fact that Liberty will fight back. And she has Carr's respect. Now, Carr bought her something for her wedding since it's a week away. And she bought her a first issue of a Princess Diana commemorative plate. Apparently you can't find them anywhere. And so she is like really surprised. Now they both bond on being outsiders. Carr notices the bridesmaid dresses she's looking at. She's like, that don't look like you. That look like the other ladies. And Carr encourages her that this is her wedding and they should wear what she wants them to wear in her vision. Liberty says, hey, I will still vote no for you, being a part of the partnership. But y'all, they have a great moment together. And I was like, Liberty might change her vote. Now Liberty calls the ladies in for high tea in the next scene. And she's giving them scones and everything. And they walk in the dresses. They feel like a fool in their dresses. Their flower pattern dresses with all the frills all over. Dina says that she had drapes like those dresses back in the day. They make real fun of the dresses. And they think it's a prank. Liberty mentions that, hey, Carr was right about y'all. And she leaves and huffs out of the room, that they don't understand her. And Dina gets a curious look as she's looking at the door that Liberty left out of. Dina, are you onto something? Now we see Niecy Nash Betts, Emerald, and Alora, Kim K, go to Dina that they found some stuff dirty on Reggie, Liberty's future husband. He took out loans, etc., and he will lose it all if he defaults. He is overextended financially. Dina agrees that Liberty needs to know, but then they're wondering, who gonna tell her? They have to decide. I don't even want to be part of that conversation. Liberty does go and visit with Carr, y'all. Carr appreciates her being vulnerable and coming to her, and they have tea. Carr reminds her that the ladies still love her, but Alora does want control still. She likes control, but they are still Liberty's friends in the end, and remember that. Liberty says she's never seen this side of her, of Carr. When Liberty leaves, she calls the assistant and says, take this rancid tea service away. Get it out my face. I said, you are using this, Carr. Then we see Carr has a notebook with everybody's name, and she is trying to get at them one at a time. Dina, we see in the next scene, is added as a partner at the firm, and she's like, I'm just an advisor, even though I'm full partner. They say it's all rights of full partnership. And hey, they're going to vote on the next full partner in secret for protections. The vote is a tie, 2-2. And they will vote again in another 48 hours. They can deliberate, but they cannot disclose their vote to each other. Okay. This is how it has been held and done, she says, for centuries. I guess hundreds of years. So Carr comes to the office to visit with Dina, and Dina forgot about their lunch date that they had planned for weeks. So Dina, tells Carr, hey, it was a tie. It was a tie. How about we have lunch here and talk? And over lunch, she said, it was a tie. Carr said, I thought this was a secret. She's like, yeah, but let's talk about this food here. She deflects in telling Carr who was a no or who she thinks is a no. But then as they're eating, Dina says, Carr, I did not vote for you. I said, daggone it, Dina, you're supposed to tell Dina. She's like, I didn't vote for you. Dina knew what Carr was doing with those bridesmaid dresses. She smelled the deception. And she sees the game that Carr is playing. It's darker than she ever would have thought. And she will not allow Carr to poison the roots of the firm. The ladies have smelt the rot on Carr that she couldn't smell all those years ago. She has love for the other ladies, but she just has pity for Carr. I was like, wow, Dina, this was a scene, y'all. Episode 9. Carr said, oh, so this is it? This is just one for the road? Dina tells her, hey, it's time for you to go. Carr throws her wine on Dina's face. Dina says a disappointment never disappoints, and she will campaign to make sure Carr never enters the building again. Dina walks out. I'm going to have clips of that scene, y'all. Carr is crying at the table, y'all. Crying. Crying. Then she immediately stops, and I get scared. In my notes, I said, I'm scared. I'm scared. She immediately stops. She wipes her face, and she finishes her lunch. I said, wait a minute. What are we doing? She pulls herself together, and now I'm more scared. What are you up to, Carr? What are you up to? Alora goes to talk to Liberty. She is the one that has to tell her about her fiance's finances. Now Liberty picks her to be the maid of honor, and Alora is ever so happy. But then Alora tells Liberty, I'm here for something else. Carr goes to talk to Alora, and Laura said, hey, there's no return policy on Chase. I wanted to crack up with that one. She's like, you take my ex-husband, you keep him. I was hoping Alora was going to become pregnant by Chase after their one encounter. I was hoping for that. I'm still hoping for that. It's season 2. So Carr said, yeah, this ain't about the partnership. It's about Dina. Saying that Dina has mental decline. And she is there because, Dina's her mentor and she's concerned. So Carr shows Alora some text messages she got from Dina talking about seeing her husband that passed away and other disturbing things. Plus the housekeeper had stuff to say about Dina's behavior. Carr even said that Dina threw wine on her. And they all need to confront her. Alora falls for it. Because I'm like, Carr don't even look wet. Okay? She don't even look wet. Did you ask her when this happened? I would have believed it if Carr would have at least poured some water on her shirt or whatever. Production, I need y'all to fix up on that one. Liberty does meet with her fiance, announces there is no wedding. She shows him that she knows everything. He asks, well, how did you find this? She's like, this ain't the point how I found it. He said your friends are trying to end their relationship, but he had no choice to save his company. He goes on to say, this is why he wanted a prenup to protect her. She says, yeah, you wanted to protect me, but you don't trust me. She says she wants a husband that she's able to leap with him knowing everything. Marriage is a leap of faith, and the leap requires knowing all. She said this is a performance, since he did not tell her everything. She says, when will he let her in? But you know what? It's too late. He said he didn't want to tell her that he's a F-up and that she's perfect. She's like, no, I'm not perfect. I may appear to be, but I do wrong things all the time. But she tells him it's too late, and she loved him. She needs a break. She doesn't know how long, but she needs a break. He said he needs her in his life and leaves her the wedding ring for her to continue to wear. Not wedding ring, but the engagement ring. I wouldn't wear that. Liberty, I would not wear that. I ain't going to throw it out either. Now, all the ladies are in the conference room with Carr. Now, all of a sudden, the conference room that's all glass, all of a sudden is covered in orange. Dina walks in and she refuses to meet with them and talk about things since Carr is in the room and this is a partners only meeting. I said, wait a minute. Don't tell me y'all voted in Carr to be a partner without Dina there. Well, y'all can't do that because Dina's vote matters. Okay? They talk to her about the text messages and show it to her. She's like, I didn't send these. Carr brings up the meds that they saw in the house for Alzheimer's. Dina's like, hey, my husband was prescribed so many medications. I don't know all of them. Or the maid saw her taking them. And she brings up that the maid said Dina has been violent. I said, wait a minute now. Y'all remember when I first thought that Doug passed away, Dina trashed the kitchen? I said, no, Carr, you are not using this against Dina, are you? You are not doing this. But Carr brings the maid in. And the maid said, yes, Dina has been violent. And then she shows her neck and bruises on her neck and that Dina grabbed her. And Dina's like, oh, no, it is not in my nature. It is not in my nature to be violent with anyone or anything. So then Carr says, well, do you remember, leaving, your will and leaving 8% of your wealth to the maid? The maid is shocked. Dina is, I don't remember that. I didn't do that. She don't remember making any changes to her will. So Carr produces the will. It is written in Dina's hand at the bottom of the will. And Dina said, I don't remember. I don't remember this. But the maid now is trying to change her story back to the truth, y'all. I think because Carr was pushing her out the door when she's like, oh, Miss Dina, I'm so sorry, Miss Dina. But Dina is at Carr saying, what did you do? Did you promise her money? Did you threaten her family? But Carr denies it all, of course. But while Carr is walking the maid out, we see the detective in the elevator with 2 police officers. The ladies are telling Dina, hey, we want to protect you, but you got to allow us to protect you and help you. Dina talks about the pain of missing Doug, her husband who passed away. She doesn't want to end it all at all. She still wants to live, but she just doesn't know how to live without him. She talks about the challenges since Doug passed and all the challenges she's had in her grief. And the detective walks in, saying, Dina, we have a warrant for your arrest for the unaliving of the man who attacked Niecy Nash Betts in the previous episodes. Dina is in shock. We are all in shock. The ladies are in shock. What in the heck? Dina looks at Carr, realizing Carr set her up. And Dina is walked out in handcuffs. Y'all, that was the end of the episode. But y'all, that was wild. How did Carr set this up? I want to know how Carr is implicated in this. How did Carr know that Niecy Nash Betts had this issue? That this happened to her? And what did she do to set Dina up with it? And was Liberty's phone hacked and put into airplane mode? Was Kim's phone hacked because she was by Milan? What is going on? Carr seems to have her finger on a whole lot of pulses. But y'all, what do y'all think? Did Dina actually do it? I don't think Dina had the time to do it. But even so, the cameras at her house would be able to say if she's home or not. So now Carr has removed Dina a no vote. Since it's tied up 2-2, she has just removed a no vote. So now it will be 2-1 and Carr will be a partner. Yo, I can't wait for season 2. Let me know your thoughts below and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.